All right, we have some massive breaking news, and there are a few parts of this that you have to know. First of all, Ukraine just launched a successful strike deep inside Russia where it hit dozens of long-range bombers that were once used to shell Ukrainian cities. So these Russian weapons were just destroyed en masse by a very, very successful Ukrainian strike. But there is a second part here, because Ukraine very intentionally left a few countries out of the loop, and the United States was one of those countries, along with, obviously, Russia. So Ukraine now has such an eroded trust in the United States, they are leaving us out of the loop. They are not sharing intelligence with us. And our intel community was caught by surprise after this strike happened. This is the first time in years Ukraine didn't share full intel and even coordinate with the United States beforehand. They notified the admin after planning this attack, but they didn't trust the admin with the details. And why would they? Trump tweeted out maybe a week ago that he's helped Vladimir Putin. He's protected Vladimir Putin repeatedly throughout this war. So I want to break down exactly what happened because this is all only the tip of the iceberg. And let's just start with the strikes that killed multiple Ukrainians. Ukraine says Russian strike overnight killed 12 soldiers. One of Ukraine's top commanders resigned because he blamed it on himself. But honestly, I don't want to oversimplify it. A lot of this is because of the United States. A lot of the problems Ukraine is facing on the battlefield right now with lack of weaponry, lack of intelligence, lack of overall morale and support is caused by the United States and can be solved by the United States. But Trump has no interest. Again, he admitted last week that he's actively shielding Putin from facing the consequences of this war, not just playing neutral, not helping Ukraine, but actively shielding him. He bragged about it, and then he undermined the entire premise of international accountability. And if Trump doesn't think Zelenskyy heard that, he's an idiot. We know he's an idiot. Zelenskyy heard that, and now he's recalibrating as needed. And I agree. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with Zelenskyy's decision to leave the US out of the loop? Yes or no? I also want to say, I keep getting comments like this one. Keep up the informative news, Adam. This needs to be amplified. If you agree, make sure you subscribe, join the crew, make sure you drop a like. Amplifying the message only helps, and I just want to say I'm grateful for every single person who watches my videos. I love you all. But let's start here. Ukraine launches massive drone strike on air bases deep inside of Russia. Please do not let Republicans, please do not let Russian stooges make you think that this drone strike is some sort of intense act of violence that is so unjustified. No, this is entirely justifiable. Russia has been relentlessly just carpet bombing Ukraine for 3 years now, and Ukraine very precisely and surgically targets Russia's bombers. Even Ukraine abides by the rule of law and tries to, have some sort of international standards by only striking military bases. Russia, on the other hand, strikes civilians after civilians after civilians. That's the disgusting part. There are a lot of disgusting parts, but that's one of them. This reads, Ukraine launched unprecedented drone strikes deep inside Russia, targeting dozens of strategic bombers at several bases, according to Ukrainian officials and videos published on social media. Not only has Russia now made Trump look like a fool by repeatedly breaking their ceasefire, but now Ukraine is making Trump look like an absolute fool. Watch this clip.
We have huge breaking news right now. Ukrainian forces just launched a major surprise attack on 4 Russian strategic air bases, destroying a number of Russian bombers, some of the most expensive military equipment that Russia has, in a complete surprise attack. Now, according to Axios, Ukrainian officials did not warn the Trump administration ahead of this major surprise attack, and that is significant for a number of reasons. Number one, maybe Ukraine doesn't trust Trump anymore. Number two, remember the whole ceasefire back and forth? Well, Russia didn't agree to a ceasefire, and now dozens of its bombers, some of its most expensive and biggest Air Force planes, are now on fire. This is a major victory for Ukraine when everyone was counting them out, saying that they didn't have the ability to launch strikes deep into Russia. Well, they just did. Drone strikes deep into Russia, into strategic air bases. A major surprise attack, a major victory for Ukraine today.
Ukraine takes a major victory. They said, F Trump, we don't care about his permission. We are going to strike Russia. I make the argument that Ukraine should go harder. Ukraine should strike every single military base in Russia, one by one, in a very surgical way, and just incapacitate them entirely. And we should be giving Ukraine the resources to do that. I would reallocate my tax dollars from a lot of these wasteful ass programs. I mean, real wasteful programs. Like the war on drugs, for some reason, is still going. Can we sort of pivot how the war on drugs is looking? So use some of that money to help people, maybe rehabilitate people, but then also give that money to Ukraine. Do whatever you can to give money to Ukraine so they can continue to strike Russia and tell Vladimir Putin to F off, to back off. I don't know what the hell Trump thinks he's doing other than helping Russia, of course. I don't know what Trump thinks he's doing when he's ceding all of this land, leverage, and power to Putin. If he were actually a strong leader and wanted to flex that, then do it. You know what? I'm going to even be charitable here to Republicans for once. Even Biden could have had a stronger image on the global stage. Now, I will say, Biden did a great job of arming Ukraine, of freezing Russia out of the global order, out of freezing Russia out of any of the talks, and making sure that Ukraine was able to stick up for itself. But Biden wasn't able to effectively make the argument in front of a camera during the last year of his presidency. And if that's controversial to you, then I don't know what to say. During the last year of Biden's presidency, he could have done a better job in most realities, articulating the reasons why Ukraine needs to be supported. Now, I think we need a president. The next Democratic administration needs to be talking about Russia like they are enemy number one, because they are. Where is the strong rhetoric against Russia? Now neither party really has it. We should be going nuclear against Russia, not in a literal sense, because, let's continue here. Why it matters. The wide-ranging attack took place shortly before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced he is sending a delegation headed by Minister of Defense Rustem Umerov to ceasefire talks with Russia in Istanbul. Remember, Russia has repeatedly ghosted during these ceasefire talks. Ukraine did not notify the Trump admin of the attack in advance, a Ukrainian official said. Driving the news, a Ukrainian official told Axios the operation was conducted by the country's security service and was planned for more than a year. The official said intelligence officers launched attack drones from trucks that had been covertly placed near Russian bases. Some of them in Siberia, thousands of kilometers from Ukraine. Again, Ukraine did not notify the Trump admin. This could be due to a few things. Number one, an erosion of trust between the nations, which I don't blame Zelenskyy for. Number two, just retaliatory reasons. Think about it. U.S. officials behind the scenes stopped sharing intelligence with Ukraine right when Trump took office. So Ukraine stopped sharing intelligence back. It's not even some diplomatic slap in the face. It's just the geopolitical equivalent of the second group chat. If you ever have a group chat with you and your big friend group, you have, this fun group chat where you all send memes. But then there's always a second group chat that's a lot smaller, where it's you and the real friends, and you guys can really let it rip and let out the edgy memes. That is what is happening here. Ukraine understands that it can't talk about this in the big group chat. Trump may back channel some of this to Russia, but in the second group chat, the smaller group chat with France and Germany and Ukraine and Poland, not us, by the way, they're talking about the real plans behind the scenes, which isn't just humiliating. It's just dangerous at the end of the day. And it's a clear sign of how far we've fallen as a country. Zelenskyy is sending a delegation to do ceasefire talks in Istanbul, and it feels like he only wants adults in the room when making these decisions, when making the decisions about ceasefires or strikes. He doesn't view the Trump admin as adults in the room. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you appreciate the work we do, join the crew below. We're headed towards 1.5 million subscribers to prove a point to MAGA. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.